So thanks for joining us for this webinar on licensing. It's the third in a three-part series of roughly the same information, but told a different way with a little bit more clarity and less ambiguity than previous ones. I'm joined by Kieran from the Esri UK education team. He will be looking at the questions and trying to answer some in real time. And Anna from JISC, who is our friendly JISC representative and looks after the licensing. From JISC's point of view, I'm sure most of you have emailed Anna or have been in contact at some point. And Anna was one of you. A long, long time ago, she was the license manager for Leeds University. But she jumped over the fence, so poacher come gamekeeper type thing. But what we're going to do today is going to go through the licensing, and I just got to always do that. You forget that it's gone off your focus. A bit of housekeeping before we start. I'm working from home. Anna's working from home. Kieran's working from home, and Ali, who I've not mentioned, our marketing help, is also working from home. There's a guy cutting his hedge. Hopefully that's not going to make too much noise. I'm not expecting any deliveries, but I might have to wave at somebody through the window. We're going to do questions via Slido, which we've done the last couple of times. There's a massive QR code here on the screen now that you can scan, and then that will launch the app directly on your phone, or you can do it in a browser by going to www.slido.com and adding in the code 1872505. And I've put that on every slide, pretty much every slide, where it would fit. So if you do want to ask a question, the information should be on the slides. If you've got that open, please upvote other people's questions that you think are more important, and we'll go through them in turn. We're also, hopefully, going to be able to unmute people. So if you've got something which requires a little bit more explanation, we will hopefully be able to go into the participants list and unmute you. I think you'll maybe be able to raise your hand or do something within the GoToWebinar infrastructure. Now, bear with us when that happens, if it does come up, because we haven't done this for a while, and Ali and I will muddle through and hopefully not terminate the webinar accidentally in the middle of a question. But use Slido as your main route for question, and anything else, see if you can raise your hand and then we'll unmute you. We're going to go through a revision of what's in and out of the license agreement, their pricing, a bit of a timeline and a call to action. And then a couple of minutes at the end, just looking beyond the renewal. And then we've got plenty of time scheduled for questions. Kind of want an active discussion. This webinar is being recorded. That doesn't mean I just got to watch my potty mouth, but it means that we'll send round the video after the webinar. So if you do have to pop off or you miss a bit, don't worry. You don't need to make notes. You'll get the slides and you'll get the webinar, and you can always ask us questions. Right, into the meat of it. There's the Slido code at the bottom of the screen if you haven't got that already. What's included? I'm actually going to start with good news. So I've been talking about this for what seems like years, trying to get Drone to Map Advanced into the license agreement, because it gives you 3D capabilities from drone imagery, and you can plan a mission and fly a mission on set criteria if you want to do 3D, or you just want an ortho mosaic. You can then process the imagery and it flows into ArcGIS Online. I have been asking for this for over 4 years now, and it's finally here. And it's not here necessarily because I've been asking for it. It's here because the functionality in Drone to Map Advanced has been rolled into a new user type extension, which is called Reality Mapping User Extension. And the education team in the States have listened to us and have campaigned hard to get that included into the global education site license. So it's there. And it was coming at the next release, which apparently was in May, although I don't quite know when in May. So it should just appear in our accounts. And if it doesn't, then we can ask questions. But it is coming. So there may be a lag from when it's released in general mode to when it's added into our education accounts. But what it means is that when you've got ArcGIS Online open and you're in as an admin and you're looking at add-on licenses, there will be a box for reality mapping user extension, and you should be able to apply that to all of your users. When it lands in our accounts, and that includes the education account for Esri UK, we'll do a little video and we'll circulate it around. But that is good news. I've put that first because it's in all of the agreements, if that makes sense. So I thought I would put it first, but it is good news. Generally, on the site licenses, we have got small, medium, and large, and the allocations are on the screen. So you get Professional Plus users, you get 15,000 on large, 5,000 on medium, and 2,500 on small. You get unlimited viewer users, which is great. You might want to use those for people external to your organization, and then they wouldn't have any actual functionality within ArcGIS Online. Yeah, loads of good things that you can do with the viewer users, and the credits are there. And we've talked about the credits before, and I know that many of you will have been on previous webinars. However, the credits are falling somewhat. These are annual credit allocations, and the 1 million for large would have to be split across all of your organizations for academic use. So if you have a node for research and a node for teaching, and you have a random little research project which has its own AGOL, and you have 3, you would have to dictate what the balance will be. How we actually make that happen, I'm still not sure. So I think it's going to be you send me an email with the subscription IDs and the allocation that you want, and then I find a way to smash that into the back end of ArcGIS Online through the team at Esri Inc. Nobody has told me how it works, so I am guessing. But I think the easiest thing for us to do is that you take charge of the allocation that you want for each one of your ArcGIS Online nodes, and you tell me and make it my problem. And then I have to work out how to get that action for you. The additional products are there as well. You get all of this stuff that you normally get with the addition of that ArcGIS reality mapping user extension, which I think is significant. This is the slightly more detailed table. It goes over pretty much everything that we've just talked about, but it has more information on Enterprise and Hub Premium. So on Hub Premium, you can have multiple Hub Premiums, and you can have multiple ArcGIS Online organizations. When I was saying I think you should split your organization into a teaching node and a research node, that is there. Plus, you would still have, even on the small allocation, 3, get my fingers right, 3 additional ArcGIS Online organizations for deployment as and where you need. So if you have a legacy US domain and a new EU domain and a research one, that's 3. It's still within the minimum of 5. Hopefully that makes sense. And this is the slightly extended product list. There are a couple of specialist mapping extensions which have disappeared. Nobody's used them. So I think they've just been deprecated, and they're only now available to certain customers that always used them. Whether they're going to get rid of them in the next couple of years, I don't know. But if you think there's anything missing that you do rely on, please let me know, and we can make a case to have that added into your account. But this will cover 99.9% of the use within.
Yeah, I was going to say it might just be worth adding that, like, the standard extensions like 3D Analyst, Spatial Analyst, Network Analyst are all included by default under the Professional Plus user type license. So they're not explicitly listed anymore.
They're not, and they were last time, but since the last agreement, they've all merged into the Pro Plus user. So all of that is now core functionality in the top tier user group. We only get those licenses for academic use. So you don't have to worry. The top tier Pro Plus gets all of the standard extensions, so Network Analyst, Spatial Analyst, 3D analyst, geostatistical stuff. Yeah, good interjection, Anna. Departmental licenses, it's 50 users, as it was before, 12,500 credits, and a little bit of enterprise. Yeah, and the same core functionality that Anna just talked about. And you also get reality mapping user extensions. So you get Drone to Map Advanced for your 50 users as well, which I think is great. It means that small institutions have all of the functionality that a large one would have available to them. The site licenses come with a dollop of ArcGIS Online for administrative use, and that administrative use is generally estates and facilities, but may also include the admissions or marketing team in a university. We now have a couple of admissions teams that are actively looking to analyse the who, what, and why of their students and work out how they can get more students into their institution with targeted marketing. I think every uni is looking for students. I don't quite know how they're all going to achieve an increase in students. So on a large site license, you'll get 20 professional plus users and all of the extensions, 10 on a medium and 5 on a small. That allocation has dropped. However, we've now added in mobile users into the agreement. You used to previously have to pay for those as an additional cost. Now they're added in, so a large institution will get 100 mobile users, medium gets 50, and small gets 20. That kind of right sizes the user types for an organization. If you imagine that an estates and facilities team are deploying apps which then get used by the facilities team to collect information on assets across the campus or as a fault reporter, those worker bees, for want of a better word, would be getting a mobile user, and those that are developing the apps for deployment would be using the Pro Plus user. And you also get unlimited viewers, which means you could give your senior management team in your institution access to apps behind a login, so the information is private, not public. Credits are also there. I don't think I need to read them out. You've probably already read them. And you get the same bundle of apps as you do on the academic license, including the Drone to Map licenses, which are bundled in the reality mapping user extension. Great, great, great. I think that's been asked for a long time. And I know there are a couple of universities that actively use drone software to map things like the condition of roofs, etc. So those licenses will now be available through their ArcGIS Online subscription, and you can use Drone to Map. Here's that slightly longer view with the allocations, explaining what you can do with enterprise as well, and all of its various cores. You can digest that after. And that is pretty much a carbon copy of the academic one. Yeah, so you can read that. Well, that's the product. So the good news is you've got the Drone to Map advanced functionality, and hopefully our allocations for estates and facilities are right-sized to better replicate the work that's actually done within an estates and facilities team. So the prices. Most of you will have seen this. Anna and I worked through price increases, and you have ended up with a 4% annual increase. It's a slight change. Previously, we've gone up in year 1 and then flat for year 2 and year 3. This time we're going up by a small amount, up by a small amount, up by a small amount. So actually, you pay less overall than you would with an up and then flat. The only rub is you start at a very slightly higher point for the next agreement. And the costs are there. So a 4% increase means that the large site license in year 1 is going to be £10,970 and will then increase into year 2 to 11,409 and 11,865. I'm not going to read all of the numbers out because I will just make a mistake saying it. and the annual chest fee has also gone up. It's been frozen for, I think, 6 years. So Anna might want to tell us the number of years it has been frozen, but it
at
was
least
time
2017.
yeah, so it was time that it went up. They froze it last time, but they can't. They've got operational costs as well, so it's gone up by a modest amount. But hopefully that is clear. So when you're budgeting, you're entering into an agreement for 3 years, and you'll have these figures for year 1, year 2, year 3, but it's just going to go up by 4%. Additional products. Now, there are a couple of additional products for academic use, and there are a lot more products for administrative use. For the academic use, the additional products are to buy additional Pro Plus users. What I've generally done in the UK is, if you want, I would say that if you're on a small institutional license and you want a couple more, yeah, buy some. But generally, it's going to be more cost effective to upgrade to the medium or the large site license. But I doubt very many institutions will need to buy additional Pro Plus users. Institutions may need to buy additional service credits, and the prices are there for those. So you get service packs, which are 100,000 credits for £200 in year 1, and it's going up by a little bit more than the 4%, and there's some good reasons for that. They're massively discounted, and not everybody is happy with that at Esri Inc. because it costs us to give you the credits. To give you that comparison, the additional service credits for administrative use are more closely aligned to our commercial costs. And you can see that the number is smaller, but you're getting 1,000 credits in the bundle rather than 100,000. So it's about 90 something times cheaper for academic use. Anna.
I was going to say, it's also worth saying the service credits are a one-off cost, so they're not an annual cost. And
one-off if you just buy it once, but yeah, they're not. So each pack, and they will last 2 years unless Esri Inc. forget, in which case we have to get them reinstated. And that's happened a couple of times over the current agreement. And we just have to be quite sharp and quite firm with Esri Inc. to reinstate the credits. So with the annual service credits, if you've got 1 million and you've gone down to 0 and you've bought a pack or 2 of additional ones, when you then tick over onto the 1st of August, Esri Inc. might set it back to be 1 million, but you should get the balance of the outstanding ones because those were your additional service credits, which last for 2 years. And we just have to be sharp on that because we've had a couple of instances where they seem to have disappeared. And Esri Inc. just apologise and put them back on, which is helpful. Administrative use, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I think everyone who has ordered additional credits have done so within the last 2 years of the agreement. So if they do have any left, they should roll forward.
Yep. Administrative use, you may wish to buy additional mobile worker user types. So if you had a large estates and facilities team and 100 wasn't enough, then you would buy some more. The costs are there. And similarly, you could buy a creator user type or a Pro Plus. The difference between a creator and a Pro Plus is that you don't get on creator, you get ArcGIS standard rather than ArcGIS Pro standard rather than Pro Advanced. So it's like the full Buna versus the diet version, but it's costed accordingly. So if you have questions on estates and facilities, let me know through highered@esriuk.com, and I'll work with Harry and Duncan to work out what the costs are going forward and how to get the best allocation of licenses to fit your need. Timelines and actions. So Anna and I are working hard to finalize the license agreement. Anna, just in the green room, for want of a better description for the webinar, said it was June 13th that we released everything 3 years ago. And we're going to try and get it out before then, but we are stuck in the middle of 3 sets of legal teams. And that, for Anna and I, is frustrating because we know what common sense looks like, but legal people like to be legal people. We're working really hard, pinging things backwards and forwards to get everybody to agree to the same set of words. And once we have that, we will be able to press go. The order forms on both sides are ready, 99%. They just need the right documents linked to them when the words are agreed. We want that to go out mid-June. And the last day for sort of guaranteed orders is probably a week before the 1st of August. So the 1st of August is a Saturday. The 31st is the Friday. That is Addie Pope's birthday, if anybody's sending me a card. Just an order will probably be enough. I didn't design this. It's a terrible day to have your birthday on, isn't it? But yeah, we're trying to get everything through. And if we can get the bulk of them done, we can fix the ones that are late or delayed. If we think we're going to have a problem or you're going to have a problem, let us know in advance and we can then put some mitigation in. It's not great to find out at 5 to 5 on a Friday on the 31st of July that we've got a problem at a university. The renewal process. Now, this is a busy slide. There's actually some stuff that we can do ahead of the order forms going live, and that is to confirm your JISC band on the JISC website. If you're an Irish university, JISC will have been in contact through Anna, probably Anna, about your JISC band. And if the JISC bands don't get ratified for all of the Irish universities, we'll be using the ones that will be ratified, but we've got a little bit of extra work to do in the background to make that happen. But you should know what JISC band you're on or will be on in Ireland. And with that, you can calculate the costs of the license. If you've got additional products, you can also calculate those. You can then check them with Anna and myself, and then you can raise the PO internally. So as you are ready to fill in the forms, because on the forms, you need to put your PO number. And if it takes a week to raise the PO, then you can save a week in the process. So once the forms go live, which is below the dotted line, the process then is to go to the CHEST website for the Esri agreement and hit the big red order button, which kickstarts the process. And there are 2 main forms to fill out. There's the JISC form and the Esri UK order form. The JISC form, that starts the invoicing process. You'll be invoiced by JISC brackets GSL. And the Esri UK order form kickstarts the order process with Esri Inc. and is also your license agreement for the use of the software. And then on the 1st of August, well, not the 1st of August because it's a Saturday, on the 3rd of August, we will check allocations and make sure everything's correct. And if they're not, I'll be fixing them. Anna, do you have anything to add on to that slide? Because it is a joint slide, really, isn't it?
No, I think you've covered everything there. If anyone's got any questions about the pricing or about if you're new to your institution and you didn't do this renewal 3 years ago, just about the process and want a bit more background information, then please get in touch with myself or help@chest.ac.uk.
Yeah. And the email coming round at the end of this, well, yeah, the email coming round will have these slides in and it will have the links. The JISC banding subscription manager link is really good because you just put in your institution, it tells you your band, and then from the tables in the PowerPoint presentation, you can work out your core cost. It's up to you to then, well, it is up to you to find out what additional products you need, but Anna can tell you what you ordered last time if you don't know.
Yeah, we've got a record now and a spreadsheet of everything. I think as well, go on, sorry, Addie.
I was going to say most of the additional products might have been drawn to Map Advance, but you don't need to order that again because it's going to be included in the core. So it's maybe the administrative use additional stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just to remind institutions, anyone whose JISC banding changed last year when JISC rebanded in 2025, I think I've emailed all the institutions where that impacts on their Esri banding change. And I think in the majority of instances that was going down from large to medium or medium to small. But I think there is some thought that needs to go into whether that lower banding will accommodate your current kind of license commitment at your institutions. So our help desk have also been briefed about the potential changes with some institutions, and so they'll be able to have that conversation with you as well. As and when
it's fun times, isn't it? Mergers and acquisitions and complication. There's always a way through it.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple of mergers as well.
Yeah, happening. One of them happening on the 1st of August, which again will be good. But we'll sort that out. But if in doubt, send an email to Higher Ed and to help, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can and work out what the value is that you're going to put in your PO order. If you can get that raised, then when Anna and I get all of the lawyers to agree and publish the websites, you can then fill in the order forms with confidence.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth saying that the current URL will sustain for the new agreement, and the existing agreement will move back into a separate URL of Esri 2023.
Deprecated. Don't order now though, because I'll still get the email, but you'll have to do it again because the license agreement is subtly.
Wait for the communication. So a marketing email will go out from JISC when the new agreement goes live, alerting people to the fact that the pages are in place and that we're ready to accept orders.
Yep. So this is essentially what you can do ahead of time. Know what your institution needs, speak to your stakeholders, know which chess band your institution is on, work out the value, raise the PO order. So that's everything on the renewal, I think, until we get to the questions. And the next bit of information is really thinking post-renewal, what would be sensible. So these webinars, I feel like it's Groundhog Day because I realize this is the third one where we've talked about the renewals and it's been roughly the same information. However, we've had different people on each one and we've clarified more of the unknowns as we've gone through that process. I want to do something different and more interesting, please. And you lot are part of, you're going to get more benefit if you tell me what you want. And I think we've got 3 strands to look at. There's what we can do to manage accounts through things like single sign-on. We've talked about that a couple of times. We can go over it again. How do we manage users more effectively? How do we manage credits? There's a new dashboard in ArcGIS Online that allows you to look in more detail at what's happening in your account in terms of credit spend. And there are GeoJob tools, which I've had so many trials with and I've never had the capacity to actually work out all of the questions I've got, but I'm going to do that over the summer. And then I'll be ready to give you a webinar on what GeoJob might be able to offer you. On the teaching strand, we've got lots of resources and we'll be updating quite a few of those over the summer break. So as they're ready for the new teaching year, we ran a level 4 CPD course. So that's CPD for educators running level 4 teaching last year, and we'd like to do it again. We could give you sort of a shop window of that, and then Kieran and I are happy to run workshops regionally to get lecturers better visibility of what they can do with ArcGIS within their teaching, and maybe a workshop on things like the reality mapping user extension, how to use drone to map. I bought a drone. I better use it. It was my own money that I bought it with. Wife went a bit mental, but that's fine. It's not a very good drone, but it allows me to experiment and then process the data in our software, which I think is quite cool. And I've done all my certificates and it was good fun. But maybe that's a topic for a workshop as well, because you will now all have. So instead of having 5 universities with Drone to Map Advanced, we've now got 135 plus. So maybe a workshop on that would be quite interesting. And we do that virtually and then whatever you want, really. And the final strand is really looking at research. And we've got the ability to support research projects, both in terms of getting you to the right information to support people that have come in to a research project and realize that they've got to process some spatial information or display spatial data. We can do some training. We'd also like to be more active partners in research. Kieran and I have been working on air pollution and wildfires. When I say we, Kieran has been. I just talk about it. He'll be giggling in the background, but he's done some great work with Sheffield Hallam University. We've done stuff with Imperial. We're doing stuff with UCL. So what else can we do? What other projects can we support? We can't support them if we don't know about them and if we don't know that people need assistance. So we'll run something on that. And that's kind of like the autumn webinar series. So with Ali from marketing, we could maybe book 3 webinars in between September and Christmas and deliver one on each. But I'm going to send round a feedback form and you can vote for what you want as topics, and that'll inform us in that autumn webinar season. And the last couple of things before the questions are some dates for your diaries. Date number 1 is we're going to run an education conference in Birmingham in November. And we ran one last year and focused very much on teaching. This one will probably be across teaching and research, and will probably focus quite heavily on AI as a disruptor and enabler within those 2 spaces. But that date is locked in. We have got the venue. For those of you who attended last year, I thought it was cracking. It's a great venue right in the middle of Birmingham. Birmingham, for all its problems, Kieran's probably not giggling now, is actually accessible to most of us. Less accessible to me and folk from further north than where I am. But it's not too bad to get to, and you just get off the train and it's a 2-minute walk. So that's the 20th of November. And then confusingly going backwards in time, 2 days before that, the 18th November is GIS Day. And we traditionally run a careers webinar on that day, and we will do again this year. So those are the 2 dates, the 18th and the 20th of November. We're going to be quite busy running stuff. And we'd like some of you to come along if you're active in teaching or research to that day on the 20th. And with that, we've got 26 minutes for questions. So I've put the QR code back on the screen. And if you've not got access to a phone or you want to do it through your browser, www.slido.com. And then when it says code, it's 1872505. What are the questions looking like? Now, this is where I have to do the dance of many screens, or Anna might be able to just read them out.
Yeah, I've got them up on my screen. Happy to read them out. Okay, so I'm going to read from the top down, which I think they're prioritized by the, how many times they've been voted up. So the top one is, do credits reset annually on the anniversary date?
They should. And yeah, I'm just going to say they should. They're annual allocations and they should reset. And we'll check that they do reset. And if you have bought any additional credits in that year, those credits should be on top of your renewal. So if you had 500,000 and you bought 200,000 extra, then you should have 500 plus the balance of the 200,000 on the 1st of August.
And Addy, is it worth just saying that they will all land upfront in the portal and it won't be done on a license allocation basis? Because we've had some questions about that, I think, haven't we?
I don't know if I fully understand the question on a license allocation basis.
Oh, I think, yeah. With respect to, they will be your full allocation, regardless of how many licenses you pick. So they will be available to you, and then you can pull that off that.
They will be. I just don't know how Esri Inc. are going to resolve them against, like, some institutions have 6 active ArcGIS onlines.
Okay.
I don't know how they're going to spread the 1 million across those 6 or the 250,000 across those 6. This is a question I have asked and I have not had an acceptable answer. I still have 7 weeks to get an acceptable answer. And if I don't, whatever lands in your account means that your users can do stuff with credits on the 1st of August. And by the 3rd of August, we'll have a good idea of where those credits have gone. And then it becomes my problem through August to get them to what you want. But if you tell me what you want, I will be able to ask for that on an institution by institution basis. And there's 135 of you, and it's going to be an absolute pain in the bottom for Esri Inc. to do manually. But I don't really know what they've got planned.
Okay. Right. The next question. What happens if we currently have more admin users than the future allocation?
You'll go into an overuse allocation red warning, which lasts for a month, I think, before functionality starts to disappear, but we'll work with you to right size you into it. So if you've been using Pro Plus users for everybody, and you've had over 100 of those, and you're dropping to 20, which of your 20 users need to have a desktop ArcGIS Pro and access to ArcGIS Online to be able to create, modify, and publish apps? You give them the Pro Plus, and those that are the operators, you change them from a Pro Plus user down to a mobile user. And I will help you do that by making some videos and put them in a story map. But let me know if you think you're going to have a problem, and I will work with you to make sure that you have a route to have your organization right-sized by user type.
Okay, thank you. So this isn't a question, but a thank you from a couple of people for fighting the corner on reality mapping and now getting it included as the default.
Yeah, and it's that thing. I don't think we were listened to. It's really frustrating. If we were listened to, it wouldn't have taken 4 flipping years. But by happen chance, the products have been merged into one, and then somebody has said, "Gonna just give it to them because it doesn't cost us anything extra to deploy." It's why we're getting the access to the reality mapping rather than SiteScan. SiteScan is our cloud-based drone processing platform, and it does cost money every time you use it because it's using somebody else's computer. Drone to Map is a desktop application which will be licensed in a similar way to ArcGIS Pro. There'll be a login, and if you've got SSO, you'll just smash through and then you'll have access. Otherwise, you'll have to put your username and password in. So it's local. And the speed of processing is dependent on the power of your machine, your processor, and your RAM. But in my head, that deployment doesn't cost Esri any money. Why not make it available under the terms and conditions of the site license? Sorry it took so long, but thankfully we've got it. So yeah.
Okay. The next question: any change to the terms and conditions you can flag early? I can reply to this as well as you if you want.
Go on then.
Okay, so there's the G604, which is the education agreement, which is, kind of remains static throughout the 3-year term, but that sits on top of the Esri International Agreement, which is the E204, which is constantly changing. So with respect to the E204, that's linked to from the test agreement pages. And if you go to where it's held, you'll see at the bottom of that page, there is a list of change updates. So you can go back to middle of kind of 2023 and look at the changes that have been made to that since, which you will have been kind of accepting as you go along by using the software, but your legal teams can review those change documents and they're quite minimal. I would say they've been signed off at our end by our contracts team. There is one minor change, I think, to G604. The Esri UK documents, some of them are quite old, aren't they, Addy, I think, but some of them have been updated since the 2023 renewal. So I'd say that it's reviewing the E204 and Esri UK terms, which you can do now, and the G604 you'll see as and when the agreement goes live. But I think once they had kind of Esri Inc. had reverted, hadn't they, Addy, to an older version of it, which we're currently fixing.
You're not meant to diss your colleagues, but I asked for a license and I got given the old one where we had to sign, and they said just ignore page 1, which is difficult when it's a click-through. So we asked for the click-through, and then I didn't check it thoroughly enough, and they'd reverted some of the changes, which Anna's had to put back in, which has delayed us. It's the smallest of the delays. I think the most significant thing that's changed isn't in the E204 or the 604, and that is the list of embargoed countries, which is a legal compliance that any US software company has to do to look at the restrictions that are imposed by the US government. And you'll know that there are more restricted countries than there were when we started in 2023, but that thing changes. And as Anna said, you can usually get a view of what you signed on the 1st of August, and then each year you could have a review of it. but the embargoed countries is usually the one that's most dynamic, and it's linked to from those documents.
And I think this year as well, we're also going to be including one of the DPAs, the data protection agreement, in the contract as well. So that will be also up for review, and will be made available, well, links to it. I think that's also embedded within the Esri Inc. agreement, isn't it, Adi? Yep. And if not, well, it's going to be explicitly listed as well.
And I'll circulate around at some point the trust site. So there's an Esri Inc. trust site, which talks about what it does, and there's an Esri UK trust site, which talks about what we do. So we're going to process your information as part of the renewal, and we hold on to that information for the duration of the contract period. When you log a support call, actually all of the information that we access is in My Esri, which is owned by Esri Inc. So it actually falls under all of the trust documentation from Esri Inc., as does the general use of ArcGIS Online. It's fun working out which DPA you should be looking at.
Yeah, that's partly why we're stuck at JISC at the moment, because they've been reviewing a few.
Is there an upfront payment for all 3 years? Not by default, but there can be.
We've added one.
Yeah, so you can, if that's easier for your budgets, then JISC will invoice you, and we just have a note on our system which says already paid, and then JISC will pass us the money as and when.
There will be, there currently on the draft web pages, there's a button to select for paying upfront.
Great. Service credits do last for 2 years from the day of purchase. If they seem to disappear, let me know. I'll get them reinstated, because we'll have an order form which will have a date on it.
Okay, the next one is about
ArcGIS Indoors. It is included for academic use, and it is an optional extra for administrative use. But there are so many products for ArcGIS Indoors, depending on how you're going to deploy it against ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. I think it ended up at 8 or 10 different things, so I didn't put it on my additional products, but it is there, and I can add an extra slide in for that. Actually, we can share all of the products. I'll make a table of the additional products and all of the costs from one of our JISC and Esri existing documents and circulate that with the meeting notes, which will be easier, because then you'll have them all. I literally couldn't fit it on a slide and make it readable. And I thought I would put the main ones and less of the niche ones. But yeah, thanks for picking that up, and I'll put that into the additional information.
Okay. Are the site admin licenses separated for credits? I don't currently see those separately in our organisation dashboard.
They are, and they are. They are separate, and you will be able to see them separately within My Esri. But if you log into ArcGIS Online, you're only logging into one tenant at a time, so you can only see the credits that relate to that node. So if you log into ArcGIS Online, into the academic one, you see the academic credits. You log into the admin one, you see the admin one. My Esri is the place where you can see all of them, and I'll make a small video of that as well at some point.
Okay, thank you. The next one, can you add additional products at a later date? The answer to that is yes. And other than the ArcGIS Online credits, which are a one-off upfront purchase, everything else will be prorated on the license year. So if you come in halfway through the first year, there's some addition, it will be 50% of the listed annual price. Okay, so can we have a JISC address, please, to include on the PO and email? Yes, it's the same address as is currently listed on the agreement web pages, which is the one that's listed in the question, apart from it's JISC Services Limited, 4 Portwell Lane, BS16N, and then B at the end. So
we'll put that into the email, Anna.
Yeah, I feel, like on TVs in the 1980s, they'd have, quizzes, and they'd say, write to this address, and before you'd even written it down, it would have gone. So it was a bit like that, but it's on the current terms and conditions of the Esri agreement on the CHESS web pages. In fact, on all the agreements on the CHESS web pages. So you can refer to that, and it'll go around in the email too.
Can we have a summary of or comparison highlighting what's changing? Do you mean for the products or the license agreement docs? We could do both, but I think the license agreement stuff is small enough that it doesn't really affect most any users, really, does it, Anna? Like one of the lines was like, our promise to like keep products available for the entire duration of the license period, which is impossible when everything's cloud-based and moving, and our license agreement technically is 3 years and most licenses are 1 year. So there was a small change there, but we do our best against that.
And I think that the particular change was around products that have been retired.
Yeah.
Or aren't being updated anymore, etc.
It's either thunder or a bin moving outside. I'm not too sure which.
Okay, so
go on. So no, I was reading, and that's the same one. But on the products, yeah, we can put the comparison together. The main things that are changing are there's a reduction in the number of service credits across all of the 3 site licenses and the departmental license. And then the next biggest change is the addition of the reality mapping extension, which is a functionality boom, the addition of viewer users, and then on the administrative use side, there's a reduction in the Pro Plus, an increase in mobile users, a reduction in credits, and you get the drone to map through the reality mapping.
And it's just to reiterate, even though I think it's been said since last year, there won't be any concurrent licenses available going forward from the 1st of August.
I was going to say I've got through an entire webinar without mentioning ArcMap.
I just thought I should mention it. So there's a whole thing.
They're all online now. There isn't a question here at all about air gaps. There is now. Excellent. Somebody is typing as fast as
Did you type that in, Addy, as you were mentioning?
No, I didn't. My hands were over here. There will be a solution for air gaps. It'll be on request. I have at least 5 unis that have bona fide air gaps. There's also still work to be done for offline use. Offline use does work, but it can cause some problems. There's still work to be done, and we're still lobbying for a better solution. We're also lobbying for a better look at like service credits and all of those things that we've talked about. So, and maybe that can be captured in the webinars at the beginning of September, because hopefully we'll get an opportunity within the distributor network to bash Esri Inc. verbally in a face-to-face meeting to tell them what needs to be improved. But we're making progress on that. How will license software activation work on an air gap system? I think they'll have to do it the way that they've always done it, through a license code or a prov file, which just automatically makes that you walk in on a USB stick and then sort of put in. So the way it's always worked will have to be the way it does work, because I don't know of any other way that they can do it in a true air gap. They've suggested that you should connect the machine to the internet and then disconnect it, but that doesn't work for some of my customers. That means that the whole machine needs to be broken down. So a USB stick can be virus checked, and then it can go into the air gap, and then it can have the provisioning file which activates the software and says, please use this and enable the software to work until this date. Yeah, there's a solution. They have a solution. They just need to make it available to us, but it'll be on a on request basis. So if you have got an air gap, let me know again.
There were no questions.
So I think the important thing is that we're working really hard to try and get this license agreement out. 1, it needs to get out ASAP, and 2, Anna and I are fed up of it anyway. And it'll give us capacity to do other things. But there's stuff that you can do ahead of it being in place, which is to work out your disk band and your costs and your additional products, if there are any, and raise the PO And if you want to do that as the 3 years, then you can work out the cumulative costs across the 3 years. And then you've got the PO number, so as you can fill the form in as soon as that is available. Anything else, Anna?
No, not from me, other than to reiterate what you've just said. We seem to have got about 8 different teams at JISC working on it in different capacities, so hoping to progress it as soon as possible.
Anna and I started earlier than we've ever started on this. And yet, here we still are in the beginning of June.
Yes, it has been quite stressful the last few weeks.
But we're getting there. We're getting there. We are getting there. You will have also seen, I didn't actually put in, I was going to put a slide in and I didn't. You will have received, if you're an admin for ArcGIS Online, an email saying that your subscription is about to expire in 2 months. That's an automated message that comes out 60 days before your subscription is up. And it's just to remind you to reach out to your salesperson. This is all going to make that go away, but it's automated. So don't worry. Yet at all. Any advice on management of users leaving an org with respect data and accounts? Yeah, look at your data retention policy within your university and comply with it, and then I'll help you put something in place where you almost deactivate a user if they're not activated through single sign-on and move them into a group called delete on X date, and then delete them on that date. So almost do a batch delete every 6 months in accordance with your data retention policy. But yeah, if whoever asked that wants to get in touch, they can, and we can go through it. But it will definitely be something we can cover in one of the webinars that we run after September. Well, with that, we've got 5 minutes that we can give you back. Thanks for holding on all the way through and putting up with Anna and I going through the same sort of information. Again, we're nearly there. I think it's a great base for ArcGIS in your universities. I'm stoked to have reality mapping in. Even at the beginning of May, I wasn't sure. Oh, Ian Holmes, he's got his hand up. Do you want to come off? You could just testing us, Ian, to see if we can get this microphone to work.
Go on, do it.
Or did you just want to clap? I'm going to see if I can find him. I've asked him to unmute. Now he can speak and see if it did work.
He's probably left the call now.
He's too shy. I'll see you for a burger, Ian, at some point. Anyway, with that, take care. And if you've got any questions about the order process and you don't know which side of the fence it lands on, email it to higher ed and to help, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I'll try and get the recording out to you ASAP.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good day.